Welcome to True Talk on WMNF 88.5 with Ahmed and Samar. Happy Juneteenth day. Today is Juneteenth. Samar and I are observing the day, and we don't have a guest to talk about Juneteenth because we're speaking about the ongoing war with Iran in the Middle East and Gaza. But definitely, we want to wish everyone a happy Juneteenth. Um, it's not really, I don't know if it's appropriate to say it's, happy. Obviously, these are people that did not know that, slavery had ended and did not know it until some time later. But in many ways, slavery ended, but the turmoil and the struggles of African Americans and descendants of slaves that were uprooted from Africa and brought here, those struggles continue. And especially now, under the current administration, where funding for DEI and affirmative action, other programs that are meant to help bring some sort of equality or equity for communities that were enslaved are being cut and seem to be under attack. And discrimination is definitely on the rise, and racism. I thought we made a lot of headways against that, but in many ways, so much of that is being undone. So before we begin today's conversation on what's going on in Iran, and that's what we're going to focus on, we want to acknowledge that today is Juneteenth, the day that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States, and it reminds us of the ongoing struggle for justice and freedom. At True Talk, we recognize the fight for liberation, whether in America or around the world or anywhere, people that are seeking justice. So the right to live free of oppression, occupation, and violence. So today, we honor those struggles, the past and the present. And now Samar and I will turn our attention to what's happening in Iran. Samar, hello, I know you're paying attention to things.
Yes, Ahmed.
Happy
Also,
Juneteenth. Did you like my monologue explanation
yes,
about
and I
Juneteenth?
would like also to recognize the really very significance and the importance of this day. And by the way, Ahmed, almost like when I talk about it, it's not well known in the Arab world, and I tweet in Arabic, but to our listeners who listen to us from all over the world, the end of slavery, like Ahmed said, only became a federal holiday in 2021, believe it or not. I think it was President Biden who signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into a law. So it's a very it's a very new celebration where I think our stock exchange market is closed today. I'm not sure what other formal, I'm not sure if banking is closed today. I know our schools are on holiday anyways, but not many people know about it. But it's very significant, Ahmed, as you said, because I, as an American Palestinian, have always been sympathetic to the natives of any land and to the African American struggle. And I always say that when I grew up in Kuwait, that's like my early childhood. And then in particular in Egypt, when I was a bit older and started to watch the different American miniseries that were very popular in Egypt at that time. Of course, they were in English and had Arabic subtitling. It was ingrained in my mind, Ahmed, that all the criminals, all the drug dealers, all all bad people in America. When I was in Kuwait, they used to be the Native Americans, but when I was growing up in Egypt, it was Black people. And believe it or not, I had this prejudice in me without knowing it. And when I
It
came
ha-
to Africa,
it didn't have anything to do with Egypt or
no, the
Kuwait. Can you
movies,
clarify?
the
Oh, the
movies,
movies.
yeah,
So
the
you watched
movies.
different movies in Egypt than you did in
All
Kuwait.
American movies, miniseries, every black person was there wasn't like a doctor, a black doctor or a black teacher. or hardly anyone positive. So when I came to the US, I remember, Ahmed, the first time we were walking in the New York streets, my mom and my siblings, whenever we see a black person, my mom would clutch her bag because she
Very,
assumed,
very racist. That's a
yeah,
racist
but
kind of
we
thing,
didn't
isn't it?
know. But we didn't know that we were racist,
You were brainwashed by the American media.
but we
But
were not
in
aware.
Egypt, okay, I know, I just want to just say something, some context. In Egypt, there are a lot of different pigmentation, a lot of different colors. In Egypt, you have very like fair-skinned people, you have very dark black
The
people.
president of Egypt was
Yeah, a president of Egypt, Anwar Sadat was basically a black
black.
person, Nubian. So um, you didn't have racism against those Egyptians
No.
that are black, but you felt like in America you were afraid because of what you were fed by movies and American media that you were consuming and watching in Egypt.
Yeah, because our driver in Egypt was Nubian, was black, like just like any other person out there who identifies as a black African American son. And, my mom trusted us with him. He would take us to places and out of town. He was like a dark skinned Egyptian or Arab, but it was directed towards American black people. And I had no idea, Ahmed. That's the scary part. And that's where sometimes I understand why the reversal when some Americans hate Muslims or hate Palestinians, they don't even know that they hate them and where it's coming
Mm.
from. It's propaganda ingrained in one. It took a while for me to realize, oh my gosh, I am racist,
So, oh, you're
but I
admitting on
wouldn't
air you were
face it.
racist. So how did you get rid of your
No, I
racism?
didn't know that this behavior can be understood or taken as I mean, I didn't understand
Mm.
myself. I didn't understand it. And I realized, and with time, when I started to read and started to actually, I had my advisor for my thesis, my master's thesis, Professor Morgan. He was black, and he would tell me I would not be sitting at this USF seat only 10 years ago when I did my master's, maybe 90,
Why? Why
early
would you not be
90s.
sitting there?
He would say to be like a full-blown tenured professor who is responsible for thesis. He said, things were, it was a struggle for him to reach
Because
what
he's
he
black.
reached. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean,
So,
oh my, so I'm extremely sensitive now.
okay, I
I'm
see. It's
minority.
really triggered something in you here. You're confessing and other thing.
Yeah. And I
Is your
say that all
racism?
the time.
I hope so. You've now basically you've gotten rid of this racism, right? I don't know if it's. I guess it's like it's kind of a.
It's, I didn't know I was.
It's not intended. It's not like deliberate. It
That's
was
the
kind of
danger, yeah, Ahmed. That's
yeah. It's
that's
more
why
subtle.
I know where people who say the worst things about Islam and Muslims and Arabs, that they don't really know what they're saying. They don't know
Oh,
where it's coming from.
yeah, you're talking about
Sometimes, I
people
mean, certain people.
who are biased and discriminate against Arabs that have hatred. Some people, of course, they know and they're very
Yeah,
racist. So I don't know. I don't know if I would classify as racist because a racist actually knows what they're doing. But maybe you had a racist mindset or bias, but
no,
you yourself are not necessarily an inherently racist person.
not at all.
You're very welcoming to everyone. But this is Juneteenth, and this racism still exists. And obviously, it's one thing when some people have some bias. It's a whole different thing when it's the government is exercising bias and discrimination and different forms of racism. So this is very concerning about the direction where things are going and the people that are in power. But today, Summer, we want to focus on the war in Iran. So I think the last time we were on air was last Thursday. The bombs hadn't started yet. So, just what was your initial reaction when you heard that they started bombing Iran? Were you anticipating that they would, that Israel would launch this unprovoked attack on Iran? Were you surprised about the intensity? What was your initial reaction? And maybe then I'll share, my view on it.
To be totally honest, I have no trust in Netanyahu and the fact that he's under investigation and he should be actually on trial. And the genocide is continuing in Gaza, but it seems it's not protecting him enough. I thought he might like do some sort of, let's say, a strike similar to maybe what he is doing from time to time. I mean, Israel is bombing Syria and Lebanon and Yemen and now Iran, but really messing with Iran, I knew it's not going to be very simple. And I know we will have to be, unfortunately, as America, either dragged into a long war or a regional chaos. So to answer you, I didn't expect it to be this large and to be honestly this effective in killing so many people, especially after that Israel assassinated Ismail Haniya of the Palestinian resistance movement in Gaza. He was assassinated in Iran. I thought they might have better security over their military personnel, but obviously the infiltration into Iran has been very great and effective. And especially after Ahmed, what they did with the pagers in Lebanon and the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, I thought Iran would be more alert.
More prepared. Yeah, a lot of people are surprised that Iran was not uh, on high alert. It seems that they really believed that there were negotiations with the United States. In fact, they had a meeting that was planned for Sunday, the Sunday before the attacks. And Trump had been referencing that, they're so close to a deal and signaling somehow that the negotiations are going on. And some people are now are coming out in Israel saying that this was a whole ruse that the Trump administration was pretending all along so they can put Iran in a lull, so they would not be on high alert. That they're reassuring them that nothing is going to happen without Trump, and they didn't imagine that Israel would carry out an attack while they were negotiating. And nobody told them, oh, the deadline is 60 days, and if there's no deal, you're gonna get bombed. So I'm no fan of Iran. I didn't like what Iran did, their role in Iraq. I did not. I opposed what Iran was doing in Syria, and
Can you clarify
they're
that? What do you mean? The role? Maybe our listeners
in
don't.
Syria.
Yeah, like
Well,
for instance,
Syria's, yeah, I mean, Syria, they've had the civil war that's going on. They were part of the Arab Spring. They, stood up, the Syrian people stood up against their dictator, Bashar al-Assad. And at some point, that movement, because Bashar al-Assad cracked down so hard, violently, it became armed resistance. And Iran came in to Syria supporting Bashar al-Assad when he was about to be defeated. And they used brutal force. They, attacked so many people, and they protected Bashar al-Assad at one point. Because of so many defections and things, the dictator in Syria was mainly protected by Iran and his people, and they became very powerful within Syria, responsible for displacing so many people. And then they got Hezbollah into the fight as well, their other proxy. And even that was not enough. And then Russia actually entered as well, and then Russia, did their air campaign. The United States all along, who did a red line, who said, that chemical weapons, the red line, did not, go in to support the people that were calling for democracy. And some people speculate that there was some sort of secret handshake between the United States and Russia to just make not let really anyone win in Syria, just to deplete the resources, and that's what ended up happening. They splintered. It was stalled for many years. Nobody was getting the upper hand. When Al-Assad starts getting the upper hand, then the rebels will get support. When they get the upper hand, Assad gets the support. So it was just, but Iran had a very bad role in all of that. And it wasn't until that they actually left that the rebels were able to take over. So that's what I mean. The amount of damage and destruction and death that they caused in Syria, they were doing it more as their political calculations, etc. But that's what I meant. So, but having said all that, that does not justify this preemptive, so-called preemptive strike. This is not preemptive strike. I didn't see it as a preemptive strike. One, I was surprised. I mean, I thought it was a matter of time, but I didn't think that they had the capabilities, because their whole thing that they're talking about, that Netanyahu is saying, is that they have to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities because they're about to get the bomb. And by the way, in a little bit, I want to play this video that I have of Benjamin Netanyahu warning for the past 33 years. For 33 years, he's been warning that Iran is about to get the nuclear weapon. For 33 years, he's been basically making this stuff up. We're 33 years later, and they still don't have a bomb. And then he's using it again as a pretext to go and attack them. But I was surprised because I knew that Israel did not have the weapons in order to destroy Iran's nuclear capabilities. Iran is stated goal is that they are enriching uranium for nuclear purposes, and this is confirmed by the international community, even by the United States intelligence community, just as back as like 3 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, said the same thing. But the location of where they're enriching this uranium is so deep in the mountains, because they know that, Israel wants to attack it. It's so deep in the mountains. Israel does not have the weapons to be able to destroy it. So why launch an attack that you can't actually carry out and fulfill your mission if you don't have the weapons? And they keep, Netanyahu had come to the United States asking, trying to convince Trump to give him the 30,000-pound bombs, bunker buster bombs that can actually reach that low in the mountains, and Trump would not do it. So he carried out this attack with the expectation to drag Trump and the Trump administration into a war they don't want to go into. And I think, this is a sad part. And just like Netanyahu and his government lobbied for the war in Iraq, he again successfully is lobbying and pushed, basically dragged the United States into a war with Iran. And now it seems like, it's like when you have a little brother that goes and picks on somebody bigger than them and then cries to, somebody else come and, fight this person for me. And that's what's happening. And now the United States feels obligated, at least this government, that they have to go defend Israel, a fight that they started. But you wouldn't know that by watching the media, right?
Right, Ahmed, but I like in the day before or during the early days after Israel attacked Iran, all of a sudden the son of the Shah of Iran is all over our mainstream media and all over Twitter, speaking in English and talking in Iranian. And all of a sudden, it just hit me. This is not about the nuclear bombs, because our own intelligence testified several times that Iran is far away from producing the nuclear bomb. Israel knows that. We know that. The whole region knows that. So it's about regime change. And what the ultimate aim of Israel is to
Mm-hmm.
change to remove the Islamic government and place the son of the Shah or whoever that might rise internally. And this is why they were not interested in destroying the capability. Another thing, Ahmed, when I was doing my master's,
I agree. I agree with you there, by the way, Samar, that all along they're saying it's about the nukes, but it's really about the things that they're going after. It's about regime change, decapitating the leadership and getting rid of it to change the regime there, to put to place a government that will be subservient or in line with Israel's goals. And that's what they're doing. And, they're making it that way. They're not going, the targets they're going after are not the nuclear targets.
yeah, they assassinated most of the scientists and even professors who might teach chemistry or biochemistry. But Ahmed, if you go, as I was saying, I did my master's, and one of my advisors was from Iran, and I started like taking his classes, and I had no idea what was going on in Iran. I didn't know what is an ayatollah. I didn't know what is the wilayat al-faqih and all that. But really, if you go Google it, why Iran doesn't have the nuclear bomb, it's because the supreme leader in their religious theology do not believe that this is in accordance with Islamic teachings. So
Correct. Yeah.
so this is, I would really love for people to Google that. And because actually there was even an interview. I'm not sure if Christiane Amanpour did it on CNN International with Iranian and said, look, the supreme leader is the one who has always prevented, whether this one or the one before or even Khomeini, prevented the political arm of the Iranian government from developing a nuclear bomb. We could have done it. So this is something that our media do not talk about. But Ahmed, with regime change, it means chaos. And I think the Wall Street Journal published a map 2 or 3 days ago, where it says, okay, this would be great to cut Iran into three entities, a Sunni one, and I don't know why they don't mention the Shia, because most of Iran has Shia
Right.
sect, but they said Sunni, Kurdish, and Baluchi. And Iran
Mm.
has a huge Sunni population, millions and millions who live together. They have Kurds, they have Sunnis and Kurds are mainly one. But you do have Jews, you have Christians, you have Baha'is, you have maybe 10 or at least different ethnic and religious backgrounds, and all seem to be living together. I mean, there might be, of course, issues like it happens in every society, but but I want just Ahmed, because I'm looking at the map of Iran, especially these senators that supposedly care about America and the interests of America, who do not have a clue how many millions live in Iran, or what is the space and area of Iran, or where Iran is located. But if there is chaos in Iran, we need to understand why this is dangerous. Iran is, first of all, in West Asia. It borders Iraq, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Caspian Sea, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Gulf of Oman, Persian Gulf. I mean, can you imagine how sinister Netanyahu and Israel are when they think and promote the idea of regime change and creating chaos, what it means? And that's not talking also about the fact that any little baby drone can destroy any oil field in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in Bahrain in a matter of minutes. And you can imagine what can happen to our grocery prices here in America, to the oil, to transportation, to the environment. I mean, people need to really pay attention to how sinister, how crazy and sociopathic Netanyahu is.
He is, and he's been. And speaking of that, I want to just share with you. I want to play this video or this audio of Netanyahu over 33 years, warning about imminent threat of Iran's nuclear weapons. I'm going to play that in a second, but I also just wanted to comment when you're saying about breaking up Iran. in three parts. This has been going on. This has been the neocon project for the past 30 or 40 years. In order to secure Israel, their doctrine is that there can't be any powerful states around it. To do that, they want to divide up. The states are too big. They want to divide up Iraq into different sections. And they, in a way, successfully did that. They want to divide up Iran. They want to divide up Syria. They're talking about carving up Syria, Egypt, like every country that's is a powerful state in the region. Their goal is to make them smaller, so that way they would be weaker. And there were proposed maps for this. Even Saudi Arabia, they had some ideas that they want to partition it. But here's the video or audio of Benjamin Netanyahu. This was actually put together by Al Jazeera. I want to play it now and then maybe get your reaction.
You've probably heard this line before.
Iran has never given up its quest for nuclear weapons and the missiles to deliver them.
That's because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying this for more than 30 years, claiming Iran is close to having
nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Atomic bombs.
In 1992, as a member of parliament, Netanyahu addresses the Knesset. He says, within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb. 3 years later, in his book Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fast forward to 2002. Netanyahu testifies before a U.S. congressional committee actively calling for the invasion of Iraq.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran.
The invasion happens months later. No weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq. This is a fragment of a 2009 U.S. State Department cable released by WikiLeaks. Netanyahu tells members of Congress that Iran is 1 or 2 years away from being capable of developing nuclear weapons.
They're online.
It's 2012, and Netanyahu is holding up his infamous cartoon bomb at the UN General Assembly.
By next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
And now, 33 years after Netanyahu's first so-called imminent warning, Israel attacks Iran.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
That's despite the U.S. Director of National Intelligence saying Iran isn't building a nuclear weapon months earlier.
Iran lied.
But for Netanyahu,
Big time.
the slogan has been the same for decades. Dmitry Medvedenko, Al Jazeera.
Samar, it's been the same. Netanyahu has been saying the same thing for over 33 years, pushing and warning the world about Iran's nuclear capabilities, knowing full well that what all the other agencies is that they haven't started or tried to do it, to weaponize it as a nuclear bomb, that they're trying to do it for energy purposes. Just like you said earlier, because the supreme leader, who's a both religious, spiritual leader, as well as the de facto leader of the country, believes that this goes against their religious beliefs, because nuclear weapons basically scorch the earth, killing everyone. And there are rules that govern war within Islamic theology. But he's been doing it. And now is the time that, he's finally pulling it off, attacking. But at the end, he doesn't have the capability to Israel does not have the capabilities to knock out these where the weapons are, the nuclear, not weapons, the nuclear facilities are enrichment. And now they're basically begging the United States to get involved. But in the meantime, they're bombing, residential neighborhoods. They're killing civilians. President Trump is saying evacuate Tehran now. And, you're talking about 10 to 12 million people. How can they evacuate overnight? It's really, and now you're on basically could be on the brink of World War III. Some people are saying that it already started because who else is going to get pulled in, whether it's Russia or China or others? Because I doubt that Russia wants to have something that's so close. They've invested so much within Iran that they would want that to be handed over to the United States or, Western powers.
There isn't much trust, I would say, in the Arab world when it comes to Russia, because it also played a dirty role in Syria. And when it really comes to saving, let's say, Bashar, that they have supported, they never really get involved. They just saved him, but not his regime. But Russia, I think, was very clear that we will not allow a U.S. direct military involvement in Iran. But something is really fascinating going on, Ahmed, and I don't know how to say it, but I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be listening to Tucker Carlson, for instance, or Steve Bannon, or Gates, or any of these people. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but thank God that we have some people who are raising important questions. I'm not sure, Ahmed, if you have seen the interview between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, who bluntly says that his loyalty is to Israel. That almost
Yeah,
got.
I actually have that video. I do want to play in a moment, but yeah, if it kind of puts, I find myself kind of awkward because people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and these MAGA type people, and yeah, Tucker Carlson, but they're being very outspoken and speaking out, saying we meant it when we said America first, and this attacking Iran does not sound like America first. And Trump, for a long, he campaigned on this, end the forever wars, we're against the forever wars. But now he's pulling the United States into a forever war, or, inching towards it, and basically following the steps of the Bush administration and the neocons. So right now it seems like there's a big struggle within the Trump administration between the neocons. These are basically, some would call Israel first type people, and, the MAGA, which are America first. It doesn't mean that you can agree with them on, their position on immigration or healthcare or other issues. However, when it comes to war, people are recognizing there is an opportunity here between the right, the far right, and the left to be against the war, to be anti-war. You have people now like Tucker Carlson and others, and people within MAGA that are saying no to war, no to bombing Iran, don't get involved, stay out of it. We don't need to fight, Israel's war. Don't repeat the mistake of, Iraq. The United States is now trillions of dollars in debt, $35 trillion. So much of that people attribute because of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that depleted so much resources. Imagine the United States had to borrow money in order to bomb basically deserts and mountains. And what did they accomplish at the end? Our government, at the end, after 20 years of bombings and, trillions of dollars spent in Afghanistan, handing it back to the very same people you took it away from, the Taliban. So what did that achieve? What did the United States and the Bush doctrine and then these neocons, failed neocons, what did they achieve in Iraq at the end with their nation building? Not much. Iraq is not even friendly. It's not even, at the end, Iraq is a huge failure. They could not even get them to be pro-United States. In many ways, it's leans towards Iran. But what did that do? Trillions of dollars were sucked out of our taxes and sent to fund this, that went to the military-industrial complex and to fund these projects, many of which are neocon initiatives. And people will say that this was for the sake of Israel as well, because, Netanyahu lobbied for this, campaigned for it. A lot of people say, oh, no, this is anti-Semitic. No, the record is there. Netanyahu came to the United States and lobbied to bomb Iraq and claimed weapons of mass destruction. He lied then, he's lying now. And it's amazing. It's so disturbing to see people like Ted Cruz, which I want to play this video now that you reference or a part of it, of this podcast on Tucker Carlson's show. And it became kind of a shouting match. But one thing specifically that we want to hone in on, Samar, is the discussion about why Ted Cruz is so supportive of Israel. And he says basically it's because of his faith. His faith tells him to do that. And let's hear what he's saying. It's really, and this actually has gone viral, so I don't know, maybe some listeners have already heard it, but here it is.
Bible. Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Samar, can you hear it?
Yeah, Ahmed, I can.
From my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the...
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
Hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
the
God's referring to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like... America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
Which border?
Samar.
That's the issue.
Which border? Not even that. He's lying, and he doesn't even know the verse. Okay, let me. I have the verse here. Okay, this is in the Bible. It's in Genesis, Genesis 12:3. Here's what it says. I quote, I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the people on earth will be blessed through you. Genesis 12:3. Who is God talking to here in Genesis? He's speaking with Ibrahim. He's not even speaking to the Jewish people. He's not speaking to Israel. And Abraham was not Jewish. Abraham was the father of religions because Judaism came after Abraham. How can Abraham be Jewish when Judaism did not exist? So, but this was not a covenant about the state of Israel. Some even, a generous interpretation would be to say that if Israel is mentioned, it's actually talking about Jacob. The prophet Jacob, his name was Israel. So if Israel is mentioned, it's not talking about the current modern state of Israel. Is talking about the children of Jacob. Like in the Quran, it says the children of Israel. Yeah, those are the children of Jacob. Jacob's other name was Israel. There was no nation state called Israel back then. These guys are lying, and somehow they've misinterpreted this verse
And
hugely.
this is why my friends, my Christian Palestinians and my Christian Egyptian friends and my Catholic friends, they do not believe, they don't buy this. This is something that was probably propagated by Zionists when they came to the US in the early 1920s and realized that, there is a huge fertile land to control the Protestant church, and they started to propagate this evangelical Zionist thing where people need to bless Israel or they will be cursed. I mean, what kind of? I mean, since when we talk politics, Ahmed, we even mention God. And since when God is a real estate
Well,
agent? I mean,
even
many,
but a lot of these evangelical Christians like Ted Cruz, but even though they're evangelical in name only, he doesn't know. He's not a theologian. He doesn't know where it is, and he's misquoting it greatly. He didn't even know where in the Bible, but somehow this is his doctrine that he's willing to go to war to Iran, use our tax money. This is all basically pushed by American evangelicals who are Zionists, like Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson, Hal Lindsey, this guy named John Hagee, that pushed this idea. For a long time, Jewish people were actually persecuted in America, real anti-Semitism. They were hated. There was this blood libel. They were blaming the Jewish people for the killing of Jesus. And throughout history, that was the case. Christianity had a hostile position towards Judaism and Jewish people. It's only in modern times, in the past 100 years, where this idea of Judeo-Christian, where they started, now you hear it all the time, we're a Judeo-Christian nation. That was not how America started. The first Americans that were here were very much anti-Semitic. They were very against the Jewish people. And it's throughout time that, and I think there was one specific Bible that focused on this interpretation, and that's the Bible that was used to teach the Bible in many of the, especially Protestant evangelical churches, where even he mentioned Ted Cruz. He says, growing up, going to church or going to Sunday school, I learned, and this is what I learned. And that's because of, I think it's called the Schofield Bible. It's a study Bible that was commissioned by the Rothschild, one of the Rothschilds. And it was basically drafted to help people study the Bible. Like it provides some interpretations. And in that, it specifically reinterpreted some of these passages that refer to Abraham, the covenant with Abraham, as somehow to reference that this is about the state of Israel, the nation of Israel. And now you have millions and millions of Christians across this country that grew up with this doctrine that in order for God to bless us in America, we have to bless Israel. We have to support Israel, because through that will bring the kingdom of God, and the return of Jesus will come back, and all this, end of time prophecies. But in order for all that to happen, we have to bless the state of Israel, and they could do no wrong. And that's why so many Christians are looking the other way, as people are getting slaughtered by this state of Israel. And the genocide that's going on. They see children getting murdered, but somehow they think, well, God has a plan, and this is what's intended. No, you've been lied to.
Not only
you have been lied to.
No, because at the same time, there was a parallel propaganda going on. And you and I know it very well from our lectures and our role, which is dehumanizing Islam, Islamophobia, dehumanizing everything that is Arab, dehumanizing the victims, really, of the wrath of Israel. So
Palestinians. Dehumanizing Palestinians to the point that they're even saying they don't exist, they never existed, just erasing their identity.
Yeah, and then even when you see a child burning alive, they say, well, because if he grew up or she grew up, they will be fighting us. So it's two parallel things that were going on. But Ahmed, I'm looking at at a tweet that says, well, also, so maybe Ted Cruz isn't really basing all his conversation and his loyalty to a foreign nation based only on God and the Bible, but there is a track here that says he got $1,899,000 from the Israeli lobby. So it's not like, okay, they're working
Who
out.
did?
Israeli lobby.
Yeah, but who got that money?
Ted Cruz.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Through the APAC tracker, they have the APAC tracker and
So he got $1.899 million. So it's
one
not
of the
like
biggest recipients.
one of the biggest, but the list is huge. It's humongous. But Ahmed, I want to really read this quote from. It was in October 9th, 1919. And thank God we do have all these technology where you can look back at tweets and things that people said. And this is by some guy called Donald J. Trump. And this is from 2019. And he says, and I'm quoting, "The United States has spent $8 trillion fighting and policing in the Middle East. Thousands of our great soldiers have died or been badly wounded. Millions of people have died on the other side. Going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made." End of quote. And now
they're repeating it. They're repeating history's repeating itself. We're still paying the price for the illegal war in Iraq and the trillions of dollars in debt. How much more debt is this going to add to who's paying for these bombs? Who's paying for the weapons that Israel's getting?
People who don't have health care are going to be paying.
Yeah.
People
and who's gonna Donald Trump is he's pretty old. He's not going to be around to pay back this debt. Ted Cruz is not going to be around to pay this debt. Who's going to pay for these wars? And how many more enemies is this going to create? Why do we need to get in? People, if you have just common sense, Israel dragged you to the war with Iraq before, and it's happening again. This is not about Judaism or Jewish people or the great religion. This is about the political system of these extreme Zionists, these supremacists that are now in government in Israel, and they want to use the United States resources to go fight their war, and to the point to even put boots on the ground in Iran itself, because air attacks is not going to be enough. And what happens if you have regime change? You just have a bunch of chaos and then civil wars, and then pump more weapons so people can fight each other there and have more failed states. Is that going to bring harmony to the region? And then they ask, well, why do these people over there hate us? Well, maybe because you're bombing them. And this was an unprovoked war. This is not October. They keep saying about Gaza. Well, October 7th happened. Well, Iran did not attack you. So why are you attacking them? And you can't even knock out their nuclear weapons. So this is not about their nuclear weapons, which they don't have, that don't exist. It's really frustrating that, again, you and I are living through this. We were warning. It's like we were warning people 25 years ago against the Iraq war, and now we're in the same place. And Afghanistan, it's like,
I mean, they should listen to you and I, have us really go to the Congress and talk to people or on mainstream media. But Ahmed, okay, let's say during the Iraq war, you and I seemed like talking to each other only. But now it's different. Now you have the Iranians tweeting, for instance, their gardens and their culture and their museums and their ancient places. You have the Gazans tweeting the atrocities and the genocide and the hunger that they are suffering from because of Israel. But we also have voices like MAGA, believe it or not, on Twitter nonstop and on Facebook and on their own podcasts, talking about why they shouldn't go to war, exposing the fact that Israel is the only country in the region that has nuclear bombs, and 90 of them. So we are really witnessing something different. Do you think there are going to be they're going to overpower the neocons, the classical neocons. I mean, for God's sake, even what's her name? Nick Haley said, okay, we can take out nuclear facilities, but let's not go into the idea of regime change. This is a total.
Yeah, and Nikki Haley is a war hawk. You know, for her to say that,
The neocon.
she realizes the consequences that this is when you do this. How many generations of next generation people from Iran that are going to hate the United States? You're not going to bomb them into submission. People are not going to welcome this when you bomb their neighborhoods and destroy their infrastructure and their schools and power plants. No, that's not going to create. But who's going to win? I don't know. I remember the Iraq War. So many of us protested. So millions of people were in the streets. Bush did whatever he wanted anyway. And I don't know. Something is wrong with our democracy where the elected officials continue, no matter who's there, it continues to just down the same path.
Because the Democrats are not in unison saying that they are against the war. There are people who are completely
right. It's unbelievable that you have people like Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are saying anti-war, and you have Democrats that are going along with the war. This is, again, because of the influence of AIPAC. And they keep repeating, they bought into the story that somehow Israel is this victim, tiny country, and they're surrounded by enemies. Guess what? Israel is the one that's bombing everybody around them. If you go around bombing everybody around you, what do you expect the consequences are going to be? And because one by one, and these countries are somehow taking a conservative response. They're not going suicidal and just bombing them to pieces. I'm sure Iran has a lot more weapons than that, but they're being a lot more, pragmatic. But Israel's bombing everybody, assassinating everybody. They have people inside Iran going and, trying to kill them and assassinating them and carrying out terrorist attacks. They're calling them operations, but you've got basically Israeli terrorists inside Iran doing car bombings and bombings outside buildings. And now they're threatening to, assassinate the supreme leader. This sounds like terrorism. So when they accuse Iran of being the biggest sponsor of terrorism, I'm not sure, if you look at the facts, something else is there. But Samar, I wanted to read this email from Jeff who writes, "Hello, Ahmed and Samar, just want to tell you, great show today. I had no idea that I would ever agree with Tucker Carlson. Incredible that the people of Texas would elect a guy like Ted Cruz. He is their DeSantis. We really appreciate what you both do." Jeff in Tampa wrote that. We actually had another email earlier who basically says that we have the hardest show to do now because of, okay, here's what he said. "Good morning, this is Gonzo here. Salam alaikum. You probably have the hardest show to do. Under attack, Palestinians and Muslims have it the hardest right now. Nothing to be happy about. Prayers for you." Yeah, our community, we're not from Iran, but a lot of people just don't, make a difference. Recognize the differences. And yeah, these hostilities are going to lead to more Islamophobia because people are going to see us as the enemy. And somehow we're and that will lead to hate crimes in this country. And like you said, Summer, earlier, this has been a campaign, a parallel campaign of, on one hand to Zionize Christian communities across America to make them into Christian Zionists, which they're succeeding. And on the other hand, dehumanizing Muslims and Islam and Palestinians as somehow barbaric, evil people, inherently anti-Semitic that deserve to be hurt because people don't like bombing and killing, nice, innocent people. Americans don't want to do that. They don't want to hurt others around the world that are nice and peaceful. So in order to justify their bombings, you first have to make them look really bad. But Summer, we're actually out of time. We talked so much, and I didn't notice the clock. So I'm being told we got to get off the air. And do you have any final, maybe you could just say goodbye.
Yes, and pay attention because Iran just tweeted that tonight is going to be a different kind of night and war. So I hope.
Oh, what is that? I don't know what that means.
I have no idea because it says tonight is unlike any night. So
Okay. WMNF Tampa, Scoop is next. Have a great
thank you.
weekend, everyone. Stay safe.